moment young Kale will never forget. Well, he's filled the big boots of Graham Arnold with aplomb. 55% win rate, the best of any A-League coach to have been in charge for 20 games or more. His opposite number, Kevin Muscat, third on that list. 50.9% his win rate. He's won 8 out of 11 finals as well. Phenomenal success at the business end. Lee Broxham, the Victory's most experienced finals campaigner, his 18th tonight. Only one A-League player has played more, and he's in the opposition tonight. Our referee tonight, Chris Beath, one of the contenders for next week's grand final. His 175th A-League game all told. Back in the VAR centre, Chris Griffiths-Jones will be in the ear of Beathy when required. What a season for this guy, Adam Lafondra. First campaign down under, 16 goals. Only Bobo has scored more in one campaign for Sydney FC. Ulla Toivonen, 14 goals so far for him, including a couple against Sydney FC. His first A-League goal at this venue, and that spectacular free kick as well. Away we go in the 50th Big Blue, the first ever fixture to bring up the half-century. Interesting kickoff routine with O'Neill flicking it up to himself. And Robbie Slater, what are you expecting tonight?
Like I said to you, Speedy, I'm expecting a real dogfight, particularly in that middle of the park. And, you know, on the team sheet, it says a diamond for victory. I don't think it will be. I think it'll be 4-3-3. Bayana will push up beside Antonis on the left, Honda on the right with Cam Sober playing more as a left winger. Barbarousse on the right, Toivonen through the middle, who will rotate. So that middle of the park, yeah, they might get the outnumber in there with Brillante and Brandon O'Neill. And we know how important those two are in respect to defending that back four for Sydney FC. So battles all over the park. The team that wins the majority of those battles will end up triumphant tonight. But so much excitement and anticipation around this game. Elimination semi-final. We saw what we got Friday night with Perth Adelaide. Can these two match it?
Cam Sober, a little cameo for him midweek. Now Barbarousse and Toivonen not on the same page. He was expecting the ball to feet that time. 2-1 results in the 3 meetings so far this season between these two. The first 2 going the way of the Victory. 1 here and 1 at Amy Park. And then the SCG battle not that long ago when Ninkovic secured the 3 points in the 93rd minute. That looks like a foul by Honda, not given. Ninkovic got a shout from Zulo. He's going to use the left back. And out for a corner off Tommy Dent.
Well, they look sharp in that first attack, Sydney FC. Bross bursting through, probably a foul on him, played the advantage, probably the right decision from Chris Beath. And Ryan Grant starts right on the front foot. And he is so important to Sydney, and they've got those 2 back from hamstring injuries, Grant and Zulo.
Wow, Toivonen, it was awkward for him. The Victory are the only team not to have conceded from a corner all season. Successfully defended 150 of them now. Sydney FC have scored a league-leading 5 goals from corners, though. O'Neill deep this time, but Niedermeyer gets it clear. 3rd time lucky, perhaps, for Sydney FC here.
Yeah, 3 in a row. The first one was probably under-hit from O'Neill, and Grant let it go. The second one deeper, right into that 6-yard box. A lot of bodies in there. Difficult for Thomas to come for it.
O'Neill does get this one right in towards Thomas, who dropped it, and it's in! Opening goal for Sydney FC. Lawrence Thomas was hoping for a whistle. It never came. And Sydney FC, the first team to score from a corner against the Victory all season.
Well, it's almost like he summoned it. Incredible. And I said there was a lot of players around Lawrence Thomas. It was going to be difficult for him to come and get it. Now, real time, it's hard to see if there was any impediment on Lawrence Thomas. I don't think there is. I think he just misjudges it. Calver's sort of backing in, but I think there's minimal contact. In fact, does that come off Calver? I can't see how you overrule that. I don't think Thomas, look at all those bodies around Thomas. And it comes off Calver. And I don't think his eyes are on the ball, so therefore there's no foul.
Well, they kept whipping them into the 6-yard box, and they got the payoff. Tough to tell definitively who'll be credited with the goal, whether it's Calver or whether it's an own goal off Lawrence Thomas. We'll clarify that, but Sydney FC don't care. They're 1-0 up with such an early lead.
Well, it was the third corner in a row. And the first one went near post, the next two went middle of the goal. The first one a little bit overhit. And Lawrence Thomas, for me, should be dominating that.
Oh, what a dream start for the Sky Blues. Oh, Campsober. We've been waiting for him to do a backflip all season in the A-League. That time he almost went the whole way around, and that was a really awkward fall.
A slight nudge from Brillante, but that hurts. Right in the small of the back there.
And a bit of a whiplash factor as well, the way that his head flicked back. It will be Aaron Calver's goal. Let's slow it down for you and watch Calver's leg swing through.
Well, that's what I thought when I looked at it. I don't think even he celebrated the fact that he scored, but it's definitely his goal.
And that's 3 this season. For the central defender, bound for the new club, Western United, next season. Zulo with the header, only as far as Deng. Raul Baena is the anchor in midfield, the number 15, the Spaniard. Now Broxham. Toivonen's onside here, ghosting in behind Wilkinson. Calver tracked the run and is having a great start to this game. No foul there, though. $7 p.m. local time kickoff, Robbie. And there's still people arriving.
They are.
What they've been doing for the last 2 hours. And they got time they run a bit better.
Well, it is Mother's Day.
Good shout.
Mums might have held them back.
Plenty of mums in the house as well to finish off Mother's Day the right kind of way. Watch some crunch A-League action. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. Barbarousis to Baena. Broxham looking for the big switch towards Toivonen. This time Zulo steps up at the right time after Grant gave Sydney FC the early impetus with his interception, of course.
You see there, when Broski's in the team, he presses all the time. He doesn't give them a moment's rest. So him and Lafondra at the point of attack, they'll just rotate those two. One will drop off. It's Lafondra a little bit deeper at the moment.
35 years young, Alex Bross, playing every game like it could be his last, and that is the case, of course, for both he and Carl Valeri. Donachie only as far as Zulo. SK Honda gives it up to O'Neill. There's a more completed passes than any other player this A-League season. A couple more there. Well played by Deng. Didn't foul Miloš Ninkovic. Found Barbarousis too. Brillante cutting the initial pass out.
You see Honda trying to get in between the lines, trying to get space. When he gets on the ball, he gets his head up. That's what Sydney won't want.
Antonis, a rare early touch from him. And get it back from Baena. That's a foul by Broski. Free kick taken quickly. Toivonen drifting wide. Back to Honda. A little bit of room. Deflection on the shot. A tame one. Through to Andrew Redmond.
Yeah, closed down by both Brillante and O'Neill. Big deflection. Took all the pace off that strike from Honda.
Kevin Muscat must have been thinking, well, we're unlikely to concede from a corner. We haven't done so all season. Sydney FC get 3 early ones, and Thomas couldn't contain. That third and final one, pretty much straight to him from O'Neill. Yes. It's really strange.
There's no doubt in my mind that it's a goalkeeping mistake. For me, that's a pretty easy one for the goalkeeper, even though there's a lot of bodies around to collect. It was middle of the goal, you know, what, a metre off his goal line.
Oh, Bross from behind did catch a little bit of bayonet, a little bit of the ball as well, which is his complaint.
Studs are up, so you know he does win the ball, but he gets a bit of bayonet. It's clearly a foul.
Played in 31 Big Blues now. He's having a shot here. Niedermeyer. Well, he scored last week with a header, which is more his go, but he thought he might put his name up in lights there.
Well, he thought, look, it's a crazy week for football. Anything might happen.
Crowd building all the time, Daniel Garb.
Eddie, it's a wonderful atmosphere down here, a wonderful Sunday night in Sydney. You can see the Cove there. They were in full voice before Sydney FC scored. You can imagine what they are like right now. They unveiled a big banner, a big tifo before the game. Take back what is ours, they said. A nice gathering of Victory fans as well who have made the trip. They've been silenced, of course, in the early stages. Probably wondering what went on in the Victory goalmouth in the early stages.
And credit those Melbourne Victory fans. This kickoff time means they can't fly home tonight, so they'll have to take a half day tomorrow or be up nice and early to go straight to work after stepping off the flight. So the commitment from A-League fans is phenomenal, especially this time of year, and they're all hoping they can hop on a big bird to Perth next week as well. Niedermeyer, Broxham. Around the corner, great weight on the pass. Campsober, early delivery. Barbarouses, not sure what he was thinking there. He had Toivonen in support. It was a poor touch from Costa after great lead-up play. And Grant is missing Lafondra, and well defended by Donachie.
Another burst from Grant, but they did. Campsober got in behind him. He just misread that pass, Ryan Grant. And just a glimpse as Campsober elects to cross it first time. Barbarouses trying to cushion that one, but Toivonen was facing the other way.
Strong work by De Jong. Breaks the way of Ninkovic. They wanted him to shoot. He thought Zulo. And Deng got in the road. Could have easily squirmed back towards Ninkovic, but Honda got there first. Ball really zipping around this sensational playing surface. Remember last time they met, it was at the SCG. We haven't been back to that joint since, after the tech they turned out that night. And there was some criticism of this playing surface a few months back as well, but it certainly turned the corner. Brosk again diving in and catching a little bit of bayonet. Niedermeyer, who started the scoring last week against Wellington. Victory played that home final first up. Third against sixth it was last week. Knew if they won, they'd be coming to Sydney FC in week 2 of the finals. Sober won it back for the Victory. Poked away from him by Berlanti. De Jong strong enough again. Gets it back from Brosk. Trying to go outside of the foot to get Lafondra started. O'Neill taking up a great position, but turned it over. Honda directing traffic, maintaining possession. And gesturing Antonis to get on the front foot. He's a coach of a national team, and he's an on-field coach of the Victory right now. Keisuke Honda a little frustrated there, Robbie.
Well, he had the easy ball to Broxham, but he wanted to play it shorter, the more dangerous ball to Antonis, and he's proved right by the fact Antonis lays it into Barbarouses, and they get a free kick in a dangerous position.
And you think back to that Niedermeyer goal from last week, similar to what we have here. A central free kick from a long way out that Honda dropped onto the head of Niedermeyer when Philip Curto failed to advance. Andrew Redmayne would have been doing plenty of work on how to negate that kind of thing. He's starting on the edge of his 6-yard box for now. It is going to be Honda again, and Redmayne able to come and claim in front of the cove.
Yeah, overhit it. Far too much on that. It was an easy one for Redmayne. But after that, conceding that goal from a big mistake from Thomas, they've settled quite well, Melbourne Victory.
Oh, Broxham, a little careless. Finding Seam de Jong. Ninkovic. Grant, what can he dish up? He's going for goal! And Lawrence Thomas had to get across in a hurry.
Yeah, just had enough time. A square ball from Ninkovic. Barbarousse was closing, but he had enough time to get it out of his feet. Makes his decision early enough that he's going to strike this ball. Tries to surprise Thomas at that near post.
And it was going to hit the post and maybe go in. Thomas well positioned.
I see Sydney use the same tactic. Look at them, they crowd around Thomas. 3 of them, Bross, Calver, Grant, and also LaFonda just on the edge of the 6-yard box. So same tactic. What will the delivery be?
Zullo dealt with at the near post by Toivonen. And all the way back to Redmayne. Wilkinson taking no chances. Andrew Redmayne's only played 3 A-League finals before. Conceded 10 goals in those 3 games. He played in the 5-4 win for the Wanderers. Oh, de Jong nearly picking out Brosk in the middle. Again, Donachie with the key defensive work. 2-time championship winner himself. Now, a bit of it coming together between Calver and Toivonen.
Yeah, Toivonen was being held by Calver there.
The big Swede has got to be careful, doesn't want to lose his cool and lash out there. Kurt Ams, the 4th official, was keeping an eye on it, and the VAR can check anything. Here's what happened. He did keep his cool. Redmayne with time. LaFondra creating the challenge against Niedermeyer.
And kept his composure and kept possession. That's good play from Niedermeyer and Baena. Yeah, that kind of ball, you want to be trying to hit Toivonen, because Cam Sober and Barbarousse aren't going to give you much value with that kind of ball. Aerial threat not there, or aerial duels in that respect, not their strong points.
Sydney FC's season has been ended against the Melbourne Victory in 4 of the last 5 seasons, so they want a little bit of payback tonight. They're in pole position right now. Still a long way to go. The away team has won just 6 of the last 32 finals in the A-League. Victory accounting for 2 of those last year, as they went on to win the championship in Newcastle, of course. If you joined us late, here is how the opening goal was scored. O'Neill got it right into the mixer, and Thomas couldn't hold on.
And that tactic, obviously it's something they'd planned, feeling that maybe Lawrence Thomas is a bit susceptible to that kind of ball, and they crowded around him, and Calver probably didn't even know it. Well, certainly no one else celebrated with him, but it's his goal.
Steve Corica, assisted by Ufuk Talay, who'll be Wellington's coach next season, and often the assistant coach is the one that comes up with all the game plans so far as set pieces are concerned. So Ufuk Talay is going to be pretty delighted with what happened there.
That was a wasted opportunity. Thomas Deng, acres of space, trying to... Well, the ball was on for Barbarousse, just completely overhit it. He was under no pressure. Kevin Muscat turned away in disgust.
His record as a coach against Sydney FC, 7 wins, 9 losses, 6 draws. Emphatic header by Niedermeyer.
Such a history, this fixture, though. Some of the games, you think of last season, of course, 12 months ago, the emphatic victory of when Graham Arnold was coach down at Amy Park, 3-0 to the victory, were awesome that day. Just out-muscled, out-thought Sydney. Even going back to a certain 0-0 draw, Speedy. 50,000 people in Melbourne to witness that one. And, of course, the grand final won by Sydney on penalties.
Could be another 50,000 pluser next week in the grand final. Tickets go on sale tomorrow morning. Perth Glory in a grand final again, their first in the A-League era. Those tickets are going to go mighty quick. I always think of regular season big blues of the Andrew Naboot game when Ange Postecoglou showed plenty of faith in him, and he came up with 2 goals in a 3-2 come from behind win.
Which ended Ian Crook's short reign, I think.
The kick of the chair night. Crookie will appreciate you remembering that. Here's Barbarousse trying to tee up Antonis, forced him a little bit wider. You're hearing the boos is Terry against the club who he made his professional debut for and then broke their hearts 12 months ago after giving them so much hope with that 95th minute own goal. Honda able to flick it out to Deng. Looks like he's in the mood tonight, Keisuke Honda. Great images last time he was here, of course, with all of the fans outside looking for selfies and autographs after the game, a good 90 minutes after full time. He's one and done down under, and he wants to finish with an A-League championship. O'Neill, rugged work in midfield, broke the way of Siem de Jong. He's riding through challenges, gets the whistle anyway.
Well, he's done pretty well to manufacture a foul there because he had nowhere to go. He had no option on his left-hand side. He's just used his body, protected it. And probably that Antonis challenge was worthy of that free kick, only just.
Lafondra won't be able to get there ahead of Niedermeyer, who's pinned into the corner, not out for a corner. It is for a throw in there. Moved away by Antonis, and challenges from behind, you don't get away with too many in the modern game. Kevin Muscat taking the opportunity to have a little pep talk with Ulla Toivonen. A little look around. Kevin Muscat may not be managing in the A-League beyond this season. Just a little bit of talk about that, maybe moving on to other projects.
Is that a bit of Twitter chat?
Podcast chat?
Podcast. Well, you do take part to a fine podcast.
It wasn't ours. Niedermeyer again winning his fair share of aerial battles. Baena. He's trying to break things up in midfield. Preferred to Carl Valeri, of course, who had a difficult game against Sydney FC earlier in the campaign. Antonis not going to get that throw in. Ams, the fourth official, actually helping to adjudicate on that one. Wilkinson's header has Kamsoba interested. Barbarouses, Toivonen looking to thread the needle. It was a tough pass to Kamsoba.
Yeah, the header from Alex Wilkinson wasn't the best. He could have just headed that back to Redmayne in the air for a long time, and that put them under pressure. And Victory will keep the ball. See Toivonen trying to play in Kamsoba. Calver covers.
Honda waits on the edge of the area. Neat turn. Oh, Lafondra, but there's no one to play that kind of ball to. Kevin Muscat screaming to Elvis Kamsoba to move into position. He wasn't there for Broxham initially.
And Victory have done well. They've pressed Sydney in the middle of the park. They're dominating that area at the moment. Sydney camped inside their own half. You saw Lafondra picking up the ball 15 metres inside his own half, looked up, and could only really play a ball into space where there was only Victory defenders.
Victory, one of the two teams to knock off Sydney FC at this venue this season. They lost 2 in a row, but since then they've won 6 on the bounce. At Cogra, they have managed to turn it into a bit of a fortress. So can the Victory turn things around here? Quarter of the 90 has gone by.
Well, you're right, they did have a really disastrous start at Jubilee. Lost their first 2 games. Victory, then Wellington absolutely smashed them here. And you're right, from then on, they've been pretty dominant here at Jubilee.
Fully enough done by the athletic Tommy Ding. Broxham. Back to Antonis. Saw Honda in a bit of space. What can KCK do this time? He goes back to his right back. Ding. Away by the goal scorer, Calver.
He's got to do better in that position, Thomas Dang. We saw him against the Wanderers whipping a wonderful cross for one of the goals of the season from Ulla Toivonen.
Honda, brilliant deception, got rid of Zulo for a moment. And Elvis Kamsoba was the one trying to get onto it, on the end of it. Unfortunately, it wasn't Toivonen.
Yes. Super ball from Honda. It was a dangerous one because I think Wilkinson was going back and he nearly got something on it. Kamsoba just slightly on his heels, didn't attack it in the first instance. There goes the ball.
Asking for the handball from close range against Antonis, didn't get it. And now Barbarouses, better touch, and he was into space and galloping. It's been a little bit off Costa, who was linked with a move to Sydney FC in the upcoming off-season, which was interesting, the timing of that story in the Daily Telegraph during this week, Robbie.
Well, that is the Sydney paper. I think that might have been planted. Ryan Grant from Kamsoba, and he really didn't need to, because Ryan Grant was always going to win the header, but it was always going to be a Victory throw straight after. And Sydney not at all able to settle at all.
There wouldn't be mischief like that, would there? Planting stories like that in the lead up to a blockbuster final.
Well, you'd hope so.
Trademark turn from Ninkovic. He was trying to bend one around the corner to Brosk, the former Johnny Warren medalist. Milos Ninkovic. We'll see who the new Johnny Warren medalist is tomorrow night. Of course, Dolan Warren Awards night. Live on Fox Sports tomorrow night, of course. The A-League's Night of Nights and the W League's Night of Nights as well. Ninkovic again, giving us a few more highlights. And still going. The Serbian maestro eventually knocked off it by Donachie. Ball to be won. Honda just got it away from Siem de Jong. Bit of adventure shown by Broxham there. Barbarouses able to lay it off to Honda, who saw Antonis. Bit of room to move as well. Costa, Antonis, Honda, Toivonen, one-touch stuff from the victory. All of Toivonen left wide at the end of it all.
Yeah, Barbarouses not happy, but decided very early to take it on. He had two in the box, Cam Sober and Barbarouses might have been the better option across the face of the box, but didn't they work it well? Antonis finds Honda in space, and then Toivonen, who had pulled off the shoulder of Zulo. It's a complete mishit when he might have played that one across the face of the box, but you do look at that angle, he certainly was on to hit that. He just completely mishit it, skewed it off the outside of the boot. A really good lead-up play and deserved a better ending.
Redmayne just got the hurry up from Chris Beef. Less than half an hour gone, and there's time-wasting tactics already being cracked down upon. Not the kind of ball that Toivonen really wants to chase. And he's keeping Wilkinson honest. Oh, no one wanted that from the victory. Lafondra. They asked for the handball again against Donachie, nothing doing. Honda, brilliant ball. Barbarouses onside. A couple of teammates in the middle. And Zulo's in the road after he got the better of Calva initially.
Well, he doesn't get around him. He thought about crossing it, came back on the inside. They defended it well in the end, but they're asking for trouble. Honda's getting a lot of space to operate in. And I think Sydney thought that he was going to play a simple ball into Antonis in the middle of the park, who was free, but disguised it, and it was a beautiful ball over to Barbarouses. And you give Barbarouses those couple of opportunities, he will make something happen in the end. So certainly victory for me have settled the better in this first half. And look, the most likely.
O'Neill's header, a little too much on it for Ninkovic. Again, the ball breaks the way of Antonis. Incisive pass to Toivonen, little 1-2. Grant late on Antonis. Kevin Muscat up in arms, trying to get Beathy to pull the card out.
Well, I think it's a foul, but I think Antonis has made a bit more of it. It didn't look to be strong contact.
Wow. Sometimes the reaction of a coach can help inflame things, and the card did come out for Ryan Grant.
So Antonis checks back. Grant's committed. Goes late. Didn't look quite as bad in real time, but when you slow it down, it always does.
Well, attempted feint on the corner stat earlier. Sydney FC are the only team not to have received a red card this season. Ryan Grant's got to watch his step for an hour or more for Steve Corica's side. Completed passes stat is interesting. 150 plus already for the victory. Think back to last week, they had a season low. 227 completed passes in the game against Wellington. It was amazing the way that unfolded. Still managed to score their goals and get through against the Knicks. Different kind of game tonight. And they're finding their groove. Trying to answer that early goal. 5% of possession their way as well. And that's building all the time. Donachie able to switch it out to Broxham. Antonis caught by Berlanti that time. There's no foul. Honda in the centre circle this time, popping up everywhere right now. Deng going early. And Barbarouses was going the other way at the key moment. Again, space for Honda. Albert able to deal with it. Playing with fire, giving Honda this much space.
Exactly, and he's so intelligent with his movement. And he's moving right onto that right-hand side, so he's getting sort of in between Zulo and Ninkovic. O'Neill and Brillante are staying central, so he's seeing a lot of the ball.
The Victory have scored in all 7 previous finals against Sydney FC. Multiple goals in 5 of those 7 finals as well. Definitely need to continue the streak tonight. Prospect of extra time and penalties, like we saw the other night in Perth. What a phenomenal final that was. Antonis across. Grant asking for a whistle, won't get one.
I think he's matched him, and it's shoulder to shoulder. You see a foul there.
The assistant referee, Andrew Lindsay, had the best view of anyone. He may have helped out Chris Beath with the adjudication. Fondra was offside.
And shouldn't be. It's the first time that Zulo's been able to get a decent ball up to him, and it's just ball watching. And that's how much Victory have dominated. You see Zulo's hardly got forward on that left-hand side. Either was Grant.
Ryan Grant spoke about that this week. He called it a catch-22 kind of situation. They love to attack both Sydney FC fullbacks, but they don't want to give space to a Barbarouses or a Cam Sober by committing too far forward if a turnover comes. Barbarouses. Zulo dived into it, timed it well. As a Victory player down, it is Georg Niedermeyer struggling in back play. Oh, that will hurt and do some damage.
Yep, I think we know what's happened there. You can boo all you want, but that takes a minute.
Very interested spectator. Tony Popovic. His Perth Glory side will host next week's grand final. Tony Pinata, Luch Tranny, Jacob Burns all in the house as well. I'll hang around for another 24 hours or so for the awards night tomorrow night, but Popper's focused very much on the big one after all those grand finals previously with the Wanderers, with no final silverware to show for it. They must have kept him off the big screen, Robbie, because I didn't hear any boos for the former Wanderers coach. Were you tracking that?
I wasn't, but you can be sure that if it did go up, there would have been boos, so I think you're right. But the immediate problem, sorry, Speedy, is for Kevin Muscat is taking this now, the domination of the ball in the middle of the park and taking it in the front third, because Redmayne hasn't had really a save to make. And therein lies the problem.
Niedermeyer has recovered.
There he is, hugging that touchline, finding space, Honda.
Decent diagonal to get it to him as well, and he's going to switch it back to Broxham, as Cam Sober working hard ahead of him. Neat play again by Honda. Baena has been forced backwards more often than not. Kevin Muscat saying, let's look forward a bit more.
Yeah, in spite of them, dominating the ball and Sydney failing to find any rhythm, really, they do defend well because they make that block before and they squeeze the space.
Sydney FC have kept 3 clean sheets in a row at this venue. Did lose in the final round against Newcastle away, but they'd already wrapped up that top 2 finish, of course. It was tooth and nail between them and the victory for a long time. But they broke free, thanks in no small part to that Ninkovic winner at the SCG in round 24. Now Lafondra, Zulo. Second touch is blazed over.
That's a poor strike, and he had plenty of time. Brilliant from Lafondra, because he got his head up and he saw Zulo advancing into the penalty box all on his own. And it's a wild swipe, and it didn't swipe at it and didn't concentrate on his technique.
It's one you'd love to be able to hit first time, but it carried plenty of pace, didn't it?
Great ball from Lafondra, plenty of space. Decent first touch, set it up, and hits it on the up on the half volley. It's a half chance for Michael Zulo.
The victory trying to become the first team to qualify for 3 straight A-League Grand Finals. Misdirected pass from Grant, but no damage done. '22nd final for Alex Wilkinson. Spent a lot of time in South Korea, of course, but no one's played more A-League finals than him. Lee Broxham now outright second behind him with 18 finals appearances. Ninkovic goes all the way across to Grant. O'Neill, Siem de Jong, and missing Lafondra. It's Sydney FC's turn for a decent spell of possession. Evened it back up to 50-50 for the game now. And that's how they've done it. Oh, Grant read it well against Niedermeyer. What a star he has become. Socceroos' first choice right back, as we saw at the Asian Cup. And his ACL dramas injury-wise throughout his career, but he's come back even stronger. And he put his hand up here, and Ninkovic found him. Driven in low. Oh, Siem de Jong tried. Alex Frost! Well, what a popular goal that is! 2-goal buffer, and their retiring captain was in the right place at the right time again to fire emphatically.
Well, what a strike. Brilliant volley. I don't think you can blame Lawrence Thomas. It's at his near post, but the ball come in. Siem de Jong has tried to volley it, and Sydney FC have just had a bit of possession in the last 3 or 4 minutes, and the ball, big ricochet, but what about the shape on the volley? Gets nearly horizontal, beats him at the near post, but you can't blame Lawrence Thomas because he's coming across and he doesn't have the time to readjust. So much power in that volley, technically perfect. And before he even dives, I think that ball's past him. So the ball from Ryan Grant, Siem de Jong, and look at the technique from Alex Brosk. Textbook finish.
What about the... Alex Brosk able to finish and celebrate. Steve Corica was so confident that he'd get him back cherry ripe for tonight. after scoring in the derby. That was 4 weeks ago now, but he is looking so sprightly out there as Zulo puts his hand up early to apologise.
Yeah, victory for all, that possession, and Sydney clawed it back in that 3 or 4 minutes, but the fact that Redmayne hasn't had to really make a save is telling in the front third for them. They've got the quality there, they just haven't been able to find the right kind of ball in. With Sydney, not that many entries into the penalty box, but that one was lethal and clinical from Alex Brosk. As Siem de Jong went to volley it, sort of skimmed in a big deflection, and the bounce took it over Thomas Dieng's head.
Helped in by Toivonen, bouncing ball. Kamsoba was lurking. Deng gets it back in there. Away by Siem de Jong, who's played his role in this first half. Well, they've scored early and scored late in the first half of the 50th Big Blue. Here's a chance for Honda. Niedermeyer stayed forward to win the flick on. Keisuke Honda, Elvis Kamsoba, the mishit. Antonis and Deng keep the victory on the front foot. Baena down as we enter 2 minutes of stoppage time. Antonis, still Antonis. Antonis can't keep the ultimate shot down, and the Cove love that.
But Elitzi gets a shot. I think it takes a deflection off one of his own plays. Here's the goal again. Grant got in space, ball in towards de Jong, skims off that service, bounces over Thomas Dieng's head. But what about that for a finish from Alex Brosk?
To make it 75 A-League goals. Corica celebrating with the Cove. Sydney FC will be attacking that end in the second half with a 2-goal advantage, it appears. Or maybe a third. Siem de Jong getting forward. Well-timed challenge from Baena. No wonder Corica was so keen to get Brosk back in for the big game. He's their second highest scorer this season. That's his 8th for the campaign now. And he's gotten better and better throughout his career, Robbie, at finishing those kind of chances. De Jong gets the better of Antonis. Oh, it's there to be won in the middle. Everyone just stood and watched. Now Zulo. Away by Niedermeyer. They're under the pump. The victory. Oh, Chris Beath.
Wall pass.
Inadvertent pass. Might work out still. Ninkovic to de Jong. Space to deliver. Look at all the sky blue shirts. Oh, own goal! 3-0 before half-time in the 50th Big Blue. And it's Lee Broxham, captain on the Knights, who's directed it past Lawrence Thomas. It's turning into a disaster for the Melbourne Victory, the reigning champions.
Well, the last 7 or 8 minutes, Sydney have just gone up a gear, and they've allowed far too much space on this right-hand side. Siem de Jong had nearly delivered a perfect pass before, no one attacking it. This one is a wicked ball to defend. And they get bodies in there.
Now have a look at this. There's an offside player there, Ryan Grant.
Yep.
But he doesn't touch the ball. But does he interfere with Thomas's look at that deflection off his own teammate?
Well, I think if you look at it, I think he's got to take some attention away from Thomas there. I'm not sure even if he would have stopped it because there's so much pace on it.
And it's been given the all clear by Chris Griffiths-Jones. It's tough to argue, really.
Wow. Incredible first half, or the ending for Sydney FC.
Yep, that 2 minutes of stoppage time came in very handy indeed as they claimed a third goal before the break. Alex Brosk, influential. They're singing in the Cove again. Tough to stop now in pursuit of a 5th grand final appearance, but it has been a week of comebacks. That's what the Victory have to do now at the break. Sydney FC 3, Melbourne Victory 0. Let's get some reaction now with Ryan Grant with Garby.
Speedy, thank you very much. Ryan, amazing scenes down here. Let's start with the first goal. Firstly, you seem pretty happy. Did you get a touch on it before it crossed the line?
I'm going to say yes.
Claim it. You're a defender, why not? 3-0 up, that third goal. How important is that in terms of insurance? You can be able to control the way you want to play the game now.
Yeah, extremely important. Obviously, right at half-time there, which is always great. A bit of a deflating goal for them. So we'll take confidence out of that, and 3-0 is a great result, but obviously it's still second half to come.
Thanks, Ryan. All the best. Well done so far.
Cheers, Garby. Ta.
We are off to a short break here from Cogra. Extraordinary scenes in the latter part of that first half. Sydney FC went from being in some kind of control to total control and a total disaster for Melbourne Victory. But as Speedy mentioned, it has been a week of comebacks, amazing comebacks, but this would almost top them all in terms of the way the game is going, especially late on in that first half. Get the thoughts of Bruce Gite, Luke Wilkshire and Mark Bosnich about how it's all turned the way of Sydney FC after the break, live around the country on Fox Sports and 10 Bolt. You know where my
Yeah, it wasn't there. Said it there.
Oh yeah.
Not being the same. You good, buddy? Thank you, George.
So what are the highlights there?
Thank you.
Victory haven't been at the races.
Yep. So goal. Who scored the first one? Yep.
Gabby.
There you go.
I can hear you. Yeah, I gotcha. Huh? I know. That's a problem. Have an absolute terror here. How many? Too narrow up front. And forget about tactics. If you're not first to the ball, if you're not hungry, that doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Thanks, Grant. Soon as
No, I'm good.
So no argument.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, mate. Yeah, mate. Alex.
That's that revenge, mate.
Yo.
Where's that team sheet, buddy? Who they got on the bench?
I'd go for Matthew Acton.
Put Acton on a left back. You can't do much.
Had to. They got the thinnest bench. Look at that bench. Look at this bench.
As I said, they got the best team, but they haven't got the best squad.
Squad, that's right. On side.
This young boy. Sorry, Andy.
Well, we're going to tell the dream, don't we? So no one switches off.
That's been terrible. No. But Roxy's not a left back. So you can get away with it against Mariners. He's meant to be a midfielder. He's not good enough to play midfield, so they just put him to plug all the gaps.
He's having a terrible time here. Huh?
Roxy.
He's having a torrid time.
Same in Champions League.
I can't disagree with you there, Luke.
Station 1, a club membership. Station 2, $1,000 cash. And Station 3, a brand new Hyundai i30N valued over $45,000. So 3 ridiculous prizes up for grabs. And the players down here, you can win not 1, not 2, but you can win.
There's not enough
in it. It's nothing.
I agree.
He's
Hello and welcome.
His problem was that
Test,
he kept
test,
backing off.
test.
If he stood his ground, he would
Test,
have got the
test, test, test,
foul. Gone
test.
straight into him, fallen over, and the ref would have given
Thank you, mate.
Welcome back to Cogra's Jubilee Oval. A lot of pain for Melbourne Victory right now. Half-time 3-0 down against Sydney FC, who all of a sudden went on a rampage towards the end of that half. Given a bit of help by Melbourne Victory, the victory went from bad to worse to horrible real quickly. Welcome back to pitch side. Adam Peacock alongside Mark Bosnich, Luke Wiltshire and Bruce Gite. Explain that. What happened in the last 5 minutes there,
It's
boss?
quite simple to explain it. Regardless, forget about your tactics. Remember, it's men that win games, not tactics. Tactics are important, but if you're not first to the ball, if you're not up for the battle, if you're not going into a game thinking to myself, I've got to outdo the man that I'm against, you can forget it. It all goes out the window. And that's basically what happened, especially for the first 15 minutes. There was one team that was out there who were at the races, the other team that just didn't turn up. And it was the team, funny enough, who left the majority of players here at home during the week. Melbourne Victory, he looked as though it was the other way around. Sydney were first to everything. They were really going at it. It looked like there's only one team in. Yeah, they settled into a football rhythm, but once again, right towards the end of the half, they're taking the eye off the ball. Now they've got an absolute mountain to climb. But after what's happened this week in world football, one never knows.
It has happened in the semi-final before when Western Sydney Wanderers came back from 3-0 down against Brisbane. They did score before half-time in that one against Wanderers. Luke, the goal, the first goal, Lawrence Thomas, should he have just stood his ground and drawn the foul?
Hey, you've got a goalkeeper. He could probably tell you better than me. But look, everyone's going to look at it. It's the start of a game. They put it on him, and he needs to do better. He needs to come and command his box. Look, he's backed away from it instead of stepping into it. And you've got to command your box, because you know better than anyone. You've got to punch it. You can't do that.
Look, when somebody's coming into the back of you like that, there's two things you can do. You can basically put your hands on him to give yourself a bit of room, or you can actually swerve him out the side and come around the front, which is a little bit more risky. He did neither. He did the thing that actually is very, very dangerous, which is to loop over top of somebody. But all it does is just a little touch, and you can and what can happen can happen. Is that right?
You're right there.
Boz wants to play.
Hey, Charter Morrow for Boz. Brucey, the second goal, Alex Bross, sweetly timed. Came from the right. Lee Broxham's having a bit of a time of it down in that left-back position.
Yeah, they're exploiting him quite a lot, but obviously an early ball in, and look, it's just second balls, and the marking's really poor on the back post there, and someone of Broski's qualities is going to put that away 9 times out of 10, and he did that. You know, a few people questioned if he was right to go before the game started, but I think it just proved there that he's indispensable to this team.
First one, look, I can understand from a goalkeeper's perspective when you've got so many people around that can happen. That should not happen. No, you should not get beaten on your near side. Just like last week with the Galekovic one in extra time. And don't get me wrong, Galekovic has been absolutely outstanding, not only throughout the season, but throughout the whole year. But because we were euphoric about the goal, goalkeepers should not get beaten on their near side.
Luke, the third goal, not a lot Lawrence Thomas could do about this, but kind of summed up the last 10 minutes for Melbourne Victory when it all started to wobble big style.
It did. It summed up the Victory performance, I think, and it summed up, unfortunately, Lee Broxham's first half performance. Look, they got a lot of time out wide here, and it's a great ball in. And look, it's hard on Lee Broxham. He's trying to get it out there. It's a great ball from De Jong, but that's been the story of a half. Whether it's De Jong or Ryan Grant down that left side of Melbourne Victory, they've got a lot of joy, and I think that a lot of that has to come down to the tactics. Also, in having Costa Barbarouses and Kemsoba so narrow, and having to get Antonis and Honda driving out to the fullbacks of Sydney FC. So I think they need to work definitely on those wide areas, because Ryan Grant's getting way too much joy, as is Michael Zula.
What would you adjust if you're Kevin Muscat, Bruce?
Look, I know obviously he wants to give Cam Soba and Barbarouses, the confidence and the idea that let them worry about you, don't worry about them too much. So he's given Antonis, well, it looks like from our point of view, he's given Antonis and Honda, the jobs of going out to Zula and pushing out to Ryan Grant, but it's not working. You're better off keeping those guys narrow and saying, Costa, Cam Soba, look, you have to do the extra shift and track these guys back. But maybe it's too late for that. I don't think you can revert to that now. You're 3-0 down. Now you do need, your attacking players to stay in that attacking position. So a difficult one for Kevin Muscat and Melbourne Victory to come out of this.
And if you're Steve Corica, you're saying, keep the foot down, please.
keep it exactly the same. I just wanted to ask one question about that third goal. The chap that was behind Broxham, was he in an offside position? Because if he was when it was crossed in, the only reason Broxham goes to the ball is affecting play. You see it there.
He is offside.
Well, the only reason Broxham goes to the ball is he thinks the ball's going to go to him. That's something I'd like to ask. I'll ask a referee and they'll explain it to me. But in terms of Stephen Corica, just keep it exactly the same. Exactly the same. Do not drop off and keep it exactly the same. The only reason he goes to that, you don't think, is to stop that getting to that man?
You know what's interesting about that too? Is the guy who's in there, it's Ryan Grant.
Yeah.
You look at the fullbacks getting forward, that's the right back in there.
Great point.
And Sim De Jong out giving them.
That's a great point.
Let's cross to Daniel Gar, because it's a big week for a young gentleman who hones his craft in this area, in fact, nearby to Cogra Stadium here at Jubilee. Let's catch up with Garby with Tim Tszyu, perhaps our next boxing world champion.
Adam, thank you very much. Yeah, the son of Costa, of course, and he's a chip off the old block, as you can see. We'll get onto that fight in a moment, but you've been thoroughly enjoying this first half, haven't you? What have you made of it all?
Well, I'm a Sydney boy, so I'm here supporting Sydney. We're 3-0 up, which is, I think it's a good sign, and I think we're going to get the job done, that's for sure.
This atmosphere, what do you think?
Oh, it's electric, you know. It gives me such a buzz and a mad vibe to just being here, you know. It's incredible feeling.
I'm sure it'll be the same for you on Wednesday night. You take on Joe Camilleri, the Australian super welterweight title fight. Talk us through what this means for you and how your preparation has been.
To be the Australian champion means you're the best in Australia, you know. So firstly, I want to become the best in Australia, to finish this guy domestically, and then I can think about other big domestic fights and then either overseas fights. So, but one step at a time. I've got this bloke. He's a tough boy, but I know the tools to victory.
Thanks, Tim. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, he looks like the old man, and he can throw him like the old man. Tim Tszyu, we're looking forward to this on Wednesday evening from the Star in Sydney. Tim Tszyu and Joel Camilleri, and you can catch it on Main Event or at a Fox Sports venue around the country. Order now at mainevent.com.au. Melbourne Victory need some kind of help. Wouldn't matter if Costa Tszyu, Tim Tszyu or whoever else was playing in the first half, it wouldn't have helped them. But there is hope. As we've seen this week in football, anything can happen. Everything is possible. This is near impossible. Can Victory perform the impossible? We're back after the break to find out.
Hello, hello, hello. Excellent, thank you. Welcome back to Cogra. Those in sky blue very happy right now. Alex Brosk, sensational in the opening half. SK Honda had his moments, but there were few chances for the victory, who coughed up 3 goals in the end. An own goal just before half-time as well. They gave up an own goal in last year's final when Negro put one past Lawrence Thomas. Fought back from that, but can they fight back from 3-0 down here, Robbie?
Well, it's a lot more difficult here. It's truly a mountain to climb, and you know, you mentioned SK Honda, who was very good in the middle part of that first half, but what they couldn't do is in that front third force Redmayne to make important saves. And Sydney in that final 5 or 6 minutes just went up a gear and found space that they couldn't find for that middle part of the first half.
Both teams had the midweek Champions League commitments. Sydney FC were a live chance, so they took a lot of first-team players to Korea, left Grant, Wilkinson and a few others back at home, while the Victory kept just about everyone back in Melbourne to get ready for this game. But Sydney FC, it seems to have worked out better for them what happened midweek.
Well, especially if you see the players that stayed at home have been crucial in pretty much all the goals. Sam de Jong for the last one. Ryan Grant was excellent, and Alex Brosk, what a finish that was.
So strong again, de Jong. Thomas leaves it for Deng to deal with. He can only put it straight out of play for another Sydney FC throw-in. Zullo with an early right-footed pass. Cross comes Niedermeyer. Zullo again getting involved. The studs remained raised there, and they upended Raul Baena. That's why the whistle came a little late. Looked like the correct call there. It was a little out of control with Zullo. And the yellow card so far in the game went to Sydney FC's other fullback, Ryan Grant. We'll have to watch his step. Here he is, sorting it out defensively with Wilkinson.
And Victory need a really good start to the second half. High tempo, intensity, trying to get themselves back into this game as early as possible.
It broke back the way of Grant. Got a little backspinner going, but he's such a high-octane player, Ryan Grant. How does Steve Corica play this with a 3-0 lead, and he being the only player on a booking right now?
Well, I think he definitely keeps it like this, and maybe if it's still 70, 75 minutes, he might think about it.
Brosk, drops the shoulder on his opposite number. Deflection on the cross. Donachie got a little touch on it. Here comes Ryan Grant. Early delivery, flick on from Lafondra. Ninkovic. He was almost holding that on his head for a moment.
What about that acceleration? He's not as quick as Thomas Deng, but he's clever. Just a slight hesitation, then accelerated away.
Well, the shout of time came a little too late for Deng, who was already committed to the header. I've seen some comebacks from 3-0 down in A-League history, also in the finals. Western Sydney Wanderers against the Brisbane Roar got it done a few years back now in one of the most incredible comebacks we've ever seen. Liverpool needed to score at least 3. Tottenham needed to score at least 3. They got it done in the Champions League semis last week. Niedermeyer, Toivonen. The one-touch pass from Barbarouses didn't come off.
Yeah, and
Antonis away by Calver.
And then we topped it off with over in Perth with Adelaide. What an amazing game that was.
Oh, mistake by Donachie. Ninkovic didn't have the pace to burn him off. He's got the smarts. And it's just a foul against Donachie.
Yeah, Donachie's lucky that wasn't Alex Brosk. Because Brosk is still very quick over the first 10 metres. And if that was him pinching the ball there's the mistake. Tries to be a little bit clever. You might have found Brosk would have been gone.
Baena has given away the foul. Good spot to swing one in from after what we saw in the early minutes of this game, of course. Interesting that O'Neill doesn't take it from this side when it's the same side he took the corners from to great effect.
And most teams really favour from this kind of position, and the opposite on the other side, the right footer from this side, the left footer from the other side. This one, Zulu will try to bend it away from Lawrence Thomas. Somewhere in between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box. Thomas off his line.
Zulu's delivery. Thomas comes. It eluded him. Oh, he made the save, though, and now the bicycle kick from De Jong. Closer to a throw-in than a goal.
Well,
the Grant shot was travelling.
And that cross from Zulu, it gave him a sniff, didn't it, Lawrence Thomas? And then he realised he's misjudged it. Put something behind that. So it's a good save, good height for him. And Siem De Jong doesn't perfect the bicycle kick.
Calver nearly got on the end of it again. Honda lifting one into the corner for Cam Sober to chase. Barbarouses, difficult header. He got there ahead of Calver but couldn't test Redmayne.
No, and got the full head on it. Difficult one. He's coming towards that near post. There's the ball bending away from Thomas, who misjudges it. He's able to save that one. Decent connection from Ryan Grant, and then can't perfect the bicycle kick. De Jong with down the other end. Just needed to glance at one, Barbarouses. Cam Sober checks back onto his right, whoops it in. Difficult one under pressure also from Aaron Calver. If they can get Cam Sober doing that, getting out into that wide area and dragging the centre half, Alex Wilkinson, where he doesn't want to go. That's a foul, clear.
Talked about what Sydney FC might do, Robbie, but what about the Melbourne Victory? How can they change things off the bench? They've got Rue, Athew, Valeri and Lesiotis there.
Well, you know, needing goals, Athew's the obvious choice.
Kevin Muscat is just calling upon Kenny Athew right on cue. Robbie Slater take a bow. That had not happened before Robbie spoke. It happened 5 seconds after he spoke. King Kenny's on the way. Brosk nearly for Lafondra, who was onside. He was being kept onside by Niedermeyer. Brandon O'Neill making a burst from midfield here. Mazzulla went back to Calver. Now O'Neill might be a chance. Donachie stepped up, kept it away from Lafondra.
Now in this kind of situation for Kevin Muscat, every minute it's going to feel like it goes so quick. The opposite for Corica on the other side.
Righto, Robbie, who's he going to come on for? How aggressive is Muscat going to be?
Depends if he's going to change the system, go with two up front.
Here's your answer.
Yeah.
Tommy Deng, the right back, is off. James Donachie has been called across to help let everyone know what kind of formation they're going to go with. Deng off, Kenny Athew on, reshuffle occurring.
He's gone with 3 at the back. Niedermeyer in the middle, Broxham to the left, Donaghy to the right. And 2 up front, Toivonen and Attu. You see Steve Corica. Corica and Tele up the edge of their technical box. Wondering what they might do to counteract that change of formation. That's not a good challenge.
A yellow card for Costa Barbarouses. He sent Zulo flying. Clutching at his collarbone after the awkward landing here.
Very late. Once he was committed, he was already in the air. He couldn't pull out.
Well, it's Zulo's first game since the round 24 win over the Melbourne Victory. That was solid contact, but perhaps the damage has been done up high, as you can see. Saw the body shuddering as he hit the turf.
Of course, with Victory, well, looks like they have gone to that back 3. Now, obviously in transition, that's going to open up those channels, right-hand side and left-hand side for Grant and Zulo.
Yellow card apiece. O'Neill driving this one out to Grant. Calver amongst a couple of Victory players. A few with the header clear. Tidy touch from Cam Sober. Barbarouses is going to find a few, bringing it down for Elvis. Barbarouses on the move out wide here. Cam Sober goes deep, and how good is that from Ryan Grant?
That's absolutely breathtaking, given the fact he's got Kenny Attu breathing down his neck. This is a decent ball in, and Attu's just behind Grant, and he just leaps and cushions it. And if you need any further evidence of the development of that player, Ryan Grant, composure now he has. Made it look easy, under pressure. Brilliant stuff.
Barbarouses, different kind of role for him. Wider on the right than he has been so far. Baena, decent ball in, but no one really attacking it at the near post for the Victory. They've got 2 up front now.
Well, I don't think they believe Baena could probably deliver from that area, and it was a decent ball. And you're right, there's no one attacking that near post. Attu made a late sort of go at it. It was much too late. Toivonen at the back post. If you're going to play 2 up front, you've got to have one going near and one staying central. He's both staying at the back, just hoping for something.
Toivonen. It is an aggressive formation now. Attu takes a tumble, asking for a penalty, waved off by Chris Beath for now, but Chris Griffiths-Jones has a big decision to make, because who was holding who there?
Well, it's too hard to tell in real time, and that's why you have the VAR. They both went down in a heap.
Well, the decision has already been upheld. Back in the VAR centre, they've had a look at it, they've seen an angle they like, and there's no penalty for the Victory. Cam Sober, great pass, Barbarouses, and Zulo's in bother again.
Well, the change in formation has certainly made an impact, with Victory looking more and more likely. Here's Attu tries to get across. No, don't need penalty for that. They both go across. Attu actually makes the first contact, I think, from that.
And then it looks like he almost gets pulled down, a la Sergio Ramos on Mo Salah, though, Robbie, doesn't he? You're happy with that?
Quite happy with the decision made.
Let's get close up on it.
Yep. Well, that's what the VAR see.
Well, he's hooked him to ground. Off the head of De Jong. Lafondra got a very faint touch on it. Redmayne will take that one, though. I'm sure the Victory fans are thinking that they might have deserved a penalty there. Kevin Muscat. We'll look to see the replays later on. Past the hour mark, Sydney FC still with that half-time margin. Oh, there was space there as De Jong tried to play in Brosk.
Good pressure from Brillante on Broxham.
Hasn't been Broxham's night, has it, in that left-back role?
And pressing from Ryan Grant.
Broxham is cutting down, Seam De Jong. Kevin Muscat brought Corey Brown down from Brisbane, played a lot of left back this season, but he's out of favour right now, and Broxham, the utility man, has filled in.
Well,
there.
both fullbacks that started the season fell out of favour, Storm Roux and Corey Brown. It's a decision Kevin Muscat made to go with the ever-reliable Lee Broxham, but he's had a tough night.
O'Neill to bend it away from Thomas. It's all Victory at the drop, and the keeper took command that time. Bowled out to Baena. Brosk, great work rate. Ninkovic, quick pass forward. Sydney FC looking to strike quickly. Lafondra gets the better of Donachie. Penalty, he played for it, he gets it. Niedermeyer dived in, didn't get the ball, and it's a chance to step up for number 4.
Well, put this down to Alex Brosk, tracking back on Baena, who thought he had more time. He's picked his pocket. Ninkovic into Lafondra. And Lafondra is away, plays it beautifully, gets there first. Niedermeyer's committed, clear penalty. Easy decision. Niedermeyer, he has to be 100% sure that he's going to get there with that kind of challenge. Lafondra, just quick feet. Easy decision.
Niedermeyer knew he was done. Lafondra may have been able to avoid that contact, but once he saw a defender down, he said, I'm going over you, and I'm going to take the spot kick. Most goals ever in a maiden campaign for Sydney FC. 16 already for Lafondra. Alfie steps up and make it 4-0 to the Sky Blues. Surely a spot in a 5th grand final is theirs now.
Well, we saw the problems had in Adelaide with penalties on Friday night. No problem here for Lafondra. Hits this with a lot of pace. Lawrence Thomas goes the wrong way. And that, you would think, was that. And there's the decision by Niedermeyer to commit himself. And like I said, for his experience, you've got to be absolutely sure you're going to get that ball. No problem for Lafondra. Dispatches this, hits it hard and low. Thomas goes the wrong way. And you would think, as you just said, Speedy, that's about it. 4 seems very improbable.
Another sausage roll, as he calls them, for Alfie, who had disappointment in playoff finals in England at Wembley. Here he is in the A-League finals, his first one, really enjoying himself. Away by Calver.
Now he can start thinking about taking Ryan Grant off.
You do it right now?
I'll do it soon. I mean, Grant, I think, spoke about his development this season, how he's gone to another level. Should have the discipline to get through it, but why take a risk?
Well, he's got
such an important player
ready right now,
which doesn't suggest Grant.
Or maybe a reshuffle.
Yeah, maybe.
Kevin Muscat gambled, went to the back 3, and they were there for the taking for the 4th.
But it is a mistake. It's another individual mistake from Baena.
is Calver playing alongside Alex Wilkinson, who has made many a centre-half look very good alongside him down the years. But Calver has hardly put a foot wrong. Western United have recruited well, it appears.
Well, quite some time ago, it'd be maybe 5-6 games ago, someone was surprised at the development of how good Aaron Calver was going. And if you remember his start when he came into the team, he made a couple of boo-boos. He gave away a penalty positionally. And I said to the person who said it to me, I can't remember exactly who it was, but I said, there's no secret. He's playing games. And the more games you play, young players get better and better.
Siem de Jong is the first put in cotton wool, replaced by Anthony Caceres. Calver's going to take the free kick. Grant stays out there for now. Oh, Lafondra able to drag it down. He's giving Donachie some nightmares at the moment. Sydney FC's biggest win in a final, 4-1 against Adelaide United at this stage, back in 14-15. Went on to lose to the Melbourne Victory in the grand final that year. And they are poised to record their biggest win ever in a final. The biggest loss by some way for the Victory at the business end of the season. Biggest one we can come up with is 2-1 against the Brisbane Roar at Suncorp a few years back now.
Well, you dare say it, but the start to the game set the tone, really. There's still a long way to go here, but the bizarre goal, the first goal, set the tone for the rest of the match.
Zorlo with the foul on Barbarouses.
And you see here Alex Brosk starts when he picks the pocket of Biano, took too much time. Ninkovic lays it in to Lafondra. It's a little 1-2 with Brosk, and this is the end result. So Brosk playing a massive part as well. And another individual mistake, dispossessed in his own half, and transition was clinical.
And that, I reckon, is the focus that Steve Corica had at the start of pre-season. He wanted to be more dynamic in the transition moments than even the Graham Arnold era. If you win the ball back around that part of the pitch, then go early, just like here. Case in point again, Brosk won it again, and they quickly get to Ninkovic, and Lafondra is in behind, make it 5! We've seen a 5-0 in a Big Blue before, but never in a final. Extraordinary what is happening here at Cogra tonight. The Victory are being ripped apart.
Well, you just said it, Speedy. As you said it, another transitional moment began. It's a really good finish. Talk about composure from Lafondra. And the pass to him was excellent, but Brosk again wins the ball. Ninkovic is on his way. Look at this for a pass. Times his run, Lafondra, perfectly. Opens himself out. Slides it into the far corner for number 5. A little outside of the boot. Almost a toe poke from Ninkovic. Again started by Brosk, picking the pocket of a Victory player. And how they make him pay again in transition. Sydney absolutely on fire.
Well, no wonder Steve Corica is smiling like that. It's what he worked on 9 or 10 months ago to have Sydney FC ready to play this kind of football. Credit Steve Corica for filling the boots of Graham Arnold like he has done. They didn't get to the grand final in Arnie's swan song, knocked off by the Victory at this stage 12 months ago. Corica in his first season at the helm. He's off to the big dance.
Look at the space down these inside channels, right and left.
Yeah, the back three don't know where the attackers are coming from. Oh, tried the nutmeg on Donachie, who saw off that threat.
Yeah, and that's the gamble Kevin Muscat took, and he had to take it at 3-0. But you're always going to leave yourself open, and It's down this Sydney's left-hand side where they've made them pay with Lafondra's penalty and that goal in transition again from Lafondra down that same channel.
You may have just seen Paolo Retre getting ready. Maybe that's the Ryan Grant switch. Lafondra on a hat-trick. Only ever been one hat-trick in this fixture. That was Archie Thompson in the 14-15 season. Cam Sober just couldn't take it on the full. And Zullo played it out off Elvis for a goal kick.
Yeah, that's when you know it's not your night. The double ricochet. Zullo closed him down very quickly.
So Ryan Grant played on that yellow card for over half an hour here. He is withdrawn. He's ready to go for the grand final. Not often you can start the celebrations with 20 minutes to go in a big blue.
Everything they've done attacking-wise has turned out gold for them.
Oh, Brosk. Alex Brosk. Well, they're putting the offside flag up belatedly.
Well, I thought, looking at real time, I thought he was clearly in offside position. Took a few seconds for the referee's assistant to put it up.
If he took the shot first time around, he would have kept the flag down. But once he started to try and bring other teammates into play, Ashley Beecham said, I'm going to have to put the flag up.
You see Sydney's dominance really, apart from that little period where they had the penalty shout on at you, but we've hardly cited Toivonen and Honda, the big players for Melbourne Victory, and Tonis.
Here comes Storm Roo for Cam Sober, so maybe the back four reinstated here.
Yep, certainly seems the case. Storm Roo's gone straight to right fullback. Trouble is, damage is done.
Can Sydney FC take the confidence of a clean sheet into the grand final as well? That'll be the focus now as they scrap it and win it back in midfield yet again. That time it was Berlanti. Lovely pass, O'Neill, kept it on the deck. Got it to Lafondra in a hurry. Zullo trying to go around the outside, and he does. Roo's only just on there. He got skinned. Ninkovic got rid of a couple and put it into the backside of Donachie.
Yeah, he fakes to hit the volley, comes back onto his left foot, and they just charge it down as he goes to strike it with the left. Beautiful feint. I think it's Donachie gets the all-important block.
Judging by the reaction, I think he thinks that left-footed shot was bound for a bottom corner, perhaps. Well, we had the 5-0 in the first season. The Melbourne Victory round 8. You would have been there, Robbie, were you?
Yes.
But Tony Popovic has seen some ominous signs here from Sydney FC. We all thought if they could get their best team on the pitch at this stage of the season, they'd be tough to toss.
Yep, and they've done that tonight. But still, I am surprised. I came here fully expecting a real dogfight, as most of them are.
Kenny Afiu.
And unfortunately for Victory, they've just had too many poor individual performances. I think it's quite simple. Don't take anything away from Sydney. But you look at that period in the first half as we watch this one come in. Redmayne will be there first.
Great punch clear of Honda. Roo fires it back in. Clever little dummy. And Honda denied by Redmayne. They've got a shot away.
Yeah. And that period in the first half, pretty much after Sydney scored that bizarre opening goal, Victory had all of the ball and they just couldn't make it count in the front third.
Retrate in that right back role. Antonis. Won't be his headline riding night tonight like it was at this stage 12 months ago. Toivonen. Again, it's Calvert with the headed clearance and too much on that from Muller. Running away from Rue. That 5-0 result. Round 8, Kevin Muscat rounded it off with a spot kick after Ufuk Talay was sent off. You remember back that?
I do remember, and I remember a certain goal from Archie Thompson. He danced in and around the 6-yard box. I think he beat about 3 or 4 Sydney players before toe poking it home.
And he scored 2 that afternoon, did Archie?
And it was a rocking Olympic Park.
But then round 16 at Marvel, as it's known now, it was 5-0 Sydney FC when Del Piero ran the show. But no one thought we'd see this in a final.
No. Well, Sydney have been ruthless and clinical when they've had to be this evening.
So Zulo can get a little bit of treatment on that troublesome collarbone as Danny De Silva comes on. Well, what a week in prospect for this young man who debuted as a teenager, of course, with the Glory. Danny De Silva. Before he then signed with the Italian Giants Roma, of course. Wound up playing in the Dutch top flight. Inside the final 15 minutes now, just a little hush around Cogra. They've been singing ever since the 4th and 5th goals went in. Now they're just trying to get a grip on what's just happened. A staggering scoreline. Victory started the night with the most goals in Big Blues, 71 to 68. That's all flipped around. Sydney FC now 2 clear. Oh, Ninkovic. Breathtaking at times this evening. Strong play by Rue. O'Neill putting the pressure on. Here's Valeri playing his final A-League game. Not the way he dreamt about going out, but he came on after the Lord Mayor's show, unfortunately for him.
You just saw there, Victory end up with the free kick to Brendan O'Neill. Started on the halfway line, just pressing every player. They played 3-4 different Victory players, and he was on top, or closing down on each and every one. SK Honda with this one, with an in-swinger.
Waiting for the referee to blow his whistle. And it's Brandon O'Neill seeing it clear. Danny De Silva a chance to stretch the legs. Only Broxham back. Barbarousa's coming back to lend a hand. Look at all the Sydney FC players busting a gut. De Silva almost broke back the way of Brosk by the penalty spot.
Well, Danny De Silva, he's just butchered that. I mean, he should have played Lafondra back in because he was inside his own half. He couldn't have been offside. And then he still had chances to play him in. Oh, look, I know he's just come on, so you know it's hard to get into the rhythm of the game, but that wasn't a hard one. It was 2-on-1.
Red tray. Ninkovic. Brosk and Lafondra wait in the middle for O'Neill's service. Overhit.
You look at this bottom of your screen, Brandon O'Neill's just crossed that ball. Look at his recovery run. That's discipline. A lot of players, you'd hit that cross 5-0, have a jog back. 80% run back into position.
Honda Straight to Ninkovic. Victory really advanced here, trying to get a consolation goal or two. Everything going right for Calver. Enough on that clearance. Oh, clever ball in by Storm Roo, and that was goal bound but for Calver's block. As we enter the final 10 minutes of the 90. We don't give out the 3-2-1s at this stage of the season,
No.
but Calver would be tough to top, wouldn't he?
Well, Sydney have got a few candidates, haven't they? Ninkovic has been superb in the second half. I think Brosk as well.
LaFondra
You're
with
right,
the double.
Calver. LaFondra, yep.
Redmayne with the kind of claim that Lawrence Thomas would have been hoping for before the first goal. Sydney FC look every chance to maybe get one more on the counter-attack. Not on this occasion, but there's so much space to exploit and explore. Beaten 5-0 4 times before the Melbourne victory, all in the regular season. So right now they're equaling the biggest loss in club history.
You just didn't expect it in a final. And as I said, that first goal sets the tone. You know, they got a bit unlucky with those two goals just before half-time, if you want to put it into perspective.
Oh, Kenny Afiu did well to get on the end of that, and Redmayne was sharp.
Yeah, good header. Near post, he gets down well. Redmayne, quick, sharp, strong right hand. Good cross from Honda. Atiu attacks it well. That's a really good save, actually. But those two goals just before half-time, deflection takes it to Bross. Superb finish. And then, of course, Broxham's own goal to make it 3 at the break.
Relaxed, a buzzword from Chris Beath. Away by O'Neill. Broxham back out to the corner taker, who just got back on side. Oh, little nutmeg as well. Barbarousis. Here goes Valeri. Settle for a corner. Have a ball in to Antonis, but he had nowhere to go in the end. Valeri flights it, Toivonen rises. Redmayne is going to get a free kick. Is it offside? I think it might be, given by the assistant. Against that man.
Not the only one. Redmayne wasn't to know that, and he does enough. It's his two hands to it.
Toivonen was the only one that was onside. In fact, flag up against Niedermeyer. Well, he was the best on the pitch last week as they got the better of Wellington. But he hasn't got much change tonight out of Wilkinson, Calver and company. And that was a physical game, wasn't it, the Wellington final? Mark Rudan took his team there with real intensity. They had their high press going as well, and the Victory have been unable to back it up a week later. It's been a 9-day break since then as well.
You know, and 7 of these played, well, 7 that started the game did travel to Korea, played against Ulsan. Only back Thursday morning. So freshness was in Victory's favour.
Sydney FC didn't have any A-League commitments last weekend, of course. Roo Overlapping. Look who got there again. Brandon O'Neill. Heart in the mouth, though, because he's staying down here for Steve Corica. One of his most influential players in midfield. Oof.
And flying in. Catches him on the side of the knee there.
A few of his teammates wanted to say to Brandon O'Neill, just calm down, we're 5-0 up, we want you next week. But he's really battling here, and this could be a big moment. You can tell by the looks on the faces of Corica and Talle. And he, of course, came to Sydney FC hunting more opportunities after limited ones with the Perth Glory. Honda takes the corner against 10 men. Half-hearted cries for handball. Old magic hands Elias just checked out Brandon O'Neill's knee, and he's moving along okay and ready to come back on. Honda. Oh, able to slip and still retrieve the situation. Josh Berlanti, who's gone to right back. Rattray wins the aerial duel with Kenny Athew. O'Neill back out there. And moving all right. No more changes for Steve Corica to make, of course, so you can't get Brandon O'Neill off. They could take him off and play with 10. Oh, sloppy again by the Victory. Brosk able to help it wide for De Silva. One-on-one with Broxham. Time to show his tricks. Heard a shout from Berlanti. Lovely ball. Nikovic! Oh, make it 6! They have hit the Victory for 6. Their biggest ever defeat and Sydney FC's biggest ever margin in A-League history. And it's that same scoreline from the 2007 Grand Final, of course, that the Victory enjoyed that day.
Well, simply in transition again, and they just had so much space. Bross played it out to De Silva, who plays it exactly right this time. Holds it up, and the little clip ball, that's the perfect ball. And Nikovic on the volley. He has been superb in this second half, and he gets himself a goal. He's got an assist. And this is the perfect ball. All the bodies are at the near post. Just hangs it up to the back post, and Nikovic obliges with a volley of his own. A volley from Brosk in the first half, and Nikovic, his technique was equally as good. All on his own, unmarked, and dispatches it into Victory's goal. Wow, 6-0. They're looking for the full-time whistle. Melbourne Victory.
Celebrations with the Cove. Milos Nikovic is used to settling it when the goal really needs to be scored. Stoppage time winner at the SCG. The final penalty in the shootout in the 2017 Grand Final. Here's Honda. Played it onto his own hand there. Advantage signal by Beef. Well, surely not a 7th. Both Lafondra on a hat-trick, of course. Here comes Rattray. Cuts it back. Alfie couldn't adjust. It was really difficult. But they are swarming all over them in hunt of another one.
They're not just playing it out, they want more.
De Silva. Brosk. Niedermeyer poked it only as far as Caceres. Oh, Nikovic.
Tried the little inside, but couldn't readjust the left foot in time. victory ragged.
So the streak continues. If you finish second on the A-League ladder, you play in the grand final. Quite remarkable, that. Top spot has been knocked off a few times, but never second. Oh, Toivonen pulls one back. It is mere consolation on 90 minutes for Ulla Toivonen. 15th goal of the campaign. And after making the trip to the Harbour City, those Victory fans are going to celebrate.
It's ironic celebrations, but they get something. They get a consolation. Completely unmarked, and they've been so concentrated. Wilkinson and Calver. Calver's out there on the right-hand side. Honda just shifts his ball. Takes a deflection. He just steps off his defender at the back post. I think it was Rattray, just got caught ball watching, his body position wrong, and Toivonen, with that experience, just darted in front of him and a simple finish. So they don't get that clean sheet that you were talking about, Speedy. I'll tell you what, they got 6 at the other end. I don't think they'll be too bothered.
Oh, what a mouth-watering grand final in prospect. Sydney FC superstars are up and running. Ninkovic, De Jong, Lafondra, Brosk, O'Neill. And then you think of Perth, what they have on offer. Castro, still going strong. Economides, Keogh, Kilkenny, Liam Reddy in goal after his heroics last week. So much to look forward to next Sunday night in this same time slot, pretty much.
Yep, 1v2, the two best teams in the regular season. Will shape off in the grand final next Worth Optus Oval. Wow, like you say, Speedy, Sydney will go over with a lot of confidence, and they'll need it, as Perth are superb on their own patch.
He's had some work to do in the scoreboard, the old-fashioned one.
And of course, Perth's with some work to do under Tony Popovich after that epic game Friday against Adelaide. But they haven't hosted a grand final in the Premier League era. What a moment for Perth.
O'Neill. De Silva! Oh, everyone thought that was in, but it's crashed off the stanchion.
Well, you don't need to state the obvious, do I? Should have scored. In front of the goal, no pressure. O'Neill with that run, he's been excellent tonight as well, and opens himself out for too much.
And of course, he meant the A-League era, not the Premier League era.
Oh, sorry, the Hyundai A-League era.
Some kind of revenge for what happened 1 year ago in this city. Sydney FC are into a 5th grand final. It's the Sky Blues against the Perth Glory in the big one on Sunday. And what about the demise of the defending champions? The Melbourne Victory concedes 6 in a final.